Hi there, this is tutorial 8, and I'm going to be going over some of the things that you need for the 5th assignment in GGRA30. This is the first video, I think, where we're trying audio, so if you are in the computer lab, please silence your audio or put in headphones. There should be subtitles with the video, and I'll correct those so you can follow along. Now, the assignment asks you, we're just covering the first part here. The assignment asks you to identify the number of trees within a certain distance of a set of schools in Toronto. Now, both layers are point data sets, so the task is essentially you have 2 point data sets, and you're trying to find the number of point type A within a certain distance of any of point type B. Now, there are a number of different ways to do this in QGIS, and certainly many other ways to do it with other GIS tools. But I'm going to show you one relatively simple way to do this. Now notice I'm not using Toronto data. I don't want to give you guys the answers, so I've picked a different data set. What I have here are bus stops in blue in the city of Cincinnati, and black dots are cafes, 2 kind of random point data sets. But let's try and figure out how many bus stops are within 500 meters of a cafe in Cincinnati. So the first thing we're going to do, so this is our cafe layer, is we're going to go over to vector in the toolbar. And notice that I'm using QGIS 3. I think it's up to 3.8 now. I'm not using QGIS 2.18 because it's a bit easier for me and the functions are essentially the same. So you should be able to follow along in 2.18 as well. So I go up to vector. I'm going to go over to geoprocessing and buffer. Now I think in 2.18 you have 2 different buffers. You want to select the fixed distance buffer. The later versions of QGIS have the 2 different buffer types, variable width and fixed width, combined into one tool. So our input layer is cafes, and like I said, we're going to do 500 meters. This parameter controls how detailed the buffer is. I'm just going to push that up a little bit and give us a little bit more resolution. The rest of these options don't matter except for dissolve result. This is really important. Now, without dissolving the result, the buffer tool will draw a 500-meter circle around each of the points, and you will have as many buffers as you have points. Now, what dissolve does is it merges all those buffers together, so we're going to have one big polygon, and any points that are within 500 meters of each other are going to share an area. We'll create a temporary layer, and I'm going to run this code. I'll close that window. Now you can see, again, all of these points here, all these buffer areas have been merged together. So if I select this, it's actually one giant polygon, right? One big multi-piece polygon. If I select this one, it selects all of them. It's one big multi-part polygon. So if I look in the attribute table, for example, you'll see one record. It's just this big, crazy polygon. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to the vector toolbar again. We'll go to looking for select by location. Ah, there it is. Research tools, select by location. Now we're going to select features from stops, and we want features that intersect with our buffer area. Now when you're comparing points with polygons, it usually doesn't matter. Intersect is almost the same as contain, is almost the same as touch or overlap. but let's go with intersect, and we're going to look for features that intersect with our buffered layer. We'll create a new selection, and I'll hit run. Now, I believe that's worked, so I'll close this window. Let me get rid of this buffered layer, and I'll drop out OpenStreetMap here. And it's a little hard to see because my selection is in yellow, but you can see that points, here's what I can do. The points that are within the buffers have been selected. They've turned a different color. Now I can open up the stops attribute table, and it's going to show me right along the top here that there are 3,155 stops in the data set, of which 317 are selected. So the answer is 317. There are 317 bus stops within 500 meters of any cafe in Cincinnati. Now, the next video, we'll look at the next part of the assignment, and we'll get to that next week.